Welcome, everybody, to a very special Prog Report podcast interview. These guys don't need really an introduction. We'll do one anyway. We got John and Mike from Dream Theater. Really excited to have you guys back on the channel. It's been a little bit, and I really, really appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know you're rehearsing and get ready to get back on the road, but we've been dying to talk to you. I've been dying to talk to you. It's been a long time. Well, of course, the most important thing we have to talk about, obviously, is what else but Taylor Swift and how that all went down. I'm curious, Mike. What was the response from that for you after that thing came out?
It's funny how, like, you know, at this stage of my life and my career, I've won like 33 Modern Drummer Awards and been on the cover of the magazine like 6 times or something like that. But that doesn't matter. I'm now like the Hello Kitty drummer or the Taylor Swift drummer.
Right.
That's like my claim to fame now, is like these crazy viral videos. But yeah, that Taylor Swift video was a lot of fun. We've had that in the bag for about a year, and they finally just put it out. But,
oh wow,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like Christopher Walken. Doesn't matter. Deer Hunter, Pulp Fiction. No. Cowbell guy.
Cowbell, that's right. John, had you not heard that song before too? Just curious.
No, I know that song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, John's daughters don't wear headphones in the car.
Yeah.
Melody always was listening with headphones, so I wasn't familiar with it.
Right. Well, really, I'm just kidding. Obviously, that's not important. We have the 40th anniversary tour, which you finished the European leg and South America. Now you're ready to hit back U.S. As we're doing this, it's like while you're rehearsing, it's days away. And also the album is coming out also on February 7th, which is amazing, Parasomnia. I want to circle back to a little bit to the tour and just that first show, because I was fortunate enough to see you guys in London at the O2 on that first night. And it was just so magical. It was, you know what it was like being there was like being at the Oscars or something. Everyone was there. You know, everywhere you walked, like, oh, that guy's in that band, and that's this guy from this magazine. And like, I mean, everybody was there to see this thing. If you can go back to remembering what that feeling was like, the anticipation towards it, and then when the curtain dropped, I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was a really special night. I mean, we thankfully we prepared a lot for it in advance, because we knew that it was a high pressure show, and we knew all eyes would be on us and would be on Mike, and we wanted to make sure that we were like as relaxed and as comfortable as we could be when that kabuki dropped. And we were. I mean, we all had such a great night. You know, there were no technical issues. The band played great. Everything was great. And of course, you know, just the audience was incredible. It was so emotional for all of us and for the audience. I mean, I saw people crying out there, and yeah, amazing.
James even started crying at one moment. Like, it was one moment in the Hollow Years. He actually,
James,
he got choked up.
Yeah,
and stopped singing for a minute. To me, it was, you know, like when you at your wedding, you know, you never remember what happened at your wedding. Your old family and friends, and it's just a blur. You got to go back and watch the video of your wedding to remember what even happened. It was like that for me that night. It was just such a surreal. It was just a blur. But you know what? The amazing thing is that those kind of emotions that were in the air that night, they carried through at every single show that followed, all through Europe, all through South America. Like, each and every show had that electricity in the air and the excitement and anticipation. And it's great that we get to do this. You know, now we're about to do it every night in America and get those feelings again. You know, it's been an incredible run so far.
Yeah, I think the audience response to all of it has been amazing. Going back to Hollow Years real quick, I want to mention that actually, because, you know, going into seeing any of your shows, it's always about the long, epic metal songs and all that, which everybody loves. And I was looking forward to seeing what you were going to play for that. But I think Hollow Years was just a surprise that, I mean, it's a great song, but I didn't expect it to hit me like you guys were talking about. That was a really cool version of and how it sounded on that first show.
That's actually a lot of people think that that's the 2004 version from Budokan, but there's a subtle difference in the version we're doing now. It's actually the version that we last did on the 2009 Black Clouds tour, and it's extended like Budokan. It's got this long intro, and John's got a whole big guitar spot at the top, and then Jordan's got a piano spot at the end. But there's a subtle difference. I don't even know if I should give it away. Let's see if the listeners find it. Let's see if John can figure it out.
I don't even know if I know what it is.
It's got the B section from the demo.
I was going to say that.
It's reinstated. There's an extra couple of lines from the demo that were reinstated. And I always look into the audience. I see them singing along to like the B section of the pre-chorus. And then it gets to those extra tag lines. And they're like, what the fuck is this? Actually, only the hardcore fans know it.
That makes sense, because when I was relearning it, which I have to do for every tour, I was like, wait, this section?
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember it. So.
What made you go back and pick that out? Or was that just the favorite version that you had back in your mind?
Well, I wanted to pick out the live version of Hallelujah because it's such a favorite. Like, a lot of people say that that's one of the moments on the Budokan DVD that's really special. And but I don't know. I think I remember when we resurrected this back in 2009, I suggested putting that little extra twist in there. I don't know. I like when bands live versions are different and have these little treats and these little nuggets. Sure. Under Glass Moon has these extra embellishments as well, different like riffs and stuff like that. And it's always nice, putting in something like that and just seeing the audience reaction, these little twists and turns that are unexpected.
Yeah. Also, this year is going to be the 20th anniversary of Octavarium. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you're playing a couple of songs of that record. The long epic, for the first time in forever, was put back in. Talk about going back and learning that and what playing that was like, John. I mean, was that something that took a extra little time to get back and learn, or?
Well, yes, because of the length of the song. But what's interesting, what happens to me personally, is when I hear a Dream Theater song that I haven't played in a long time. It's hard for me to imagine playing it. Like it seems almost like overwhelming. Like, oh my God, I got to go back and learn this thing. And what did I even play? And how did I do it? And the interesting thing is, once I start, it all comes back. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh wait, I remember that. So it starts out as a little bit daunting, and then, it gets easier. But if I could have any superpower, you know how they ask that question, invisibility, whatever it is, my superpower would be to always be able to play anything at any time without having to relearn. I
think most of us would argue you do have that superpower.
Oh my God, you don't understand the hours that go into like trying to remember stuff. Not unlike Mike, who could just play it. You'd probably name any Dream Theater song, you play it right now.
Well, we played, not to give anything away, but we're working up a few new songs to sprinkle in occasionally, just to have in the repertoire. We played one yesterday that'll go unnamed, but it's a crazy, crazy song, and it was
nice.
It came together. First run, we sounded like a bad Dream Theater cover band, and then but by the time we played it a second and third time, it was locked and loaded. And I don't know, like this particular track, we probably haven't played together in 20 years or something.
No, we haven't.
So yeah.
Oh wow.
It's like riding a bicycle. It's like more like riding a unicycle, not a bicycle. More like riding a unicycle.
Can be done, but it's a little harder.
Yeah.
Is the biggest challenge for your songs always just when the song has so many parts and just remembering the parts? Because I imagine actually the playing of the things you can do, right? You have the skills to play the thing. But is it just remembering all the different changes? Is that the more tricky thing?
It's actually the exact opposite for me personally.
Okay.
I don't have a problem remembering, the arrangement. It's trying to wrap your fingers around, what you might have done when you were 25 or 30 that you're now, doing when you're 57, and having to relearn that stuff, re-practice it, get certain chops together that maybe you hadn't been working on for a while. That's me as a guitar player, but I don't have a problem remembering the parts unless I'm sick and have a fever.
Well, I mean, I want to talk about obviously the new record, Parasomnia. Like I said, comes out February 7th, first day of the U.S. tour, which kicks off in Philly. You know, I've had the album for a little bit, and it's just so great. I think it's just, I don't know, as a Dream Theater fan, it's just the album you wanted. You know, you don't know how to express sort of what you want a band to do, but then it sounds like that, and you go, yeah, this is what I wanted the album to be. Um, I know you've been answering a lot of these questions, so excuse me for asking some of them again. But you know, the first time you guys met and and started writing for this, um, was it a little easier because you had done Liquid Tension and had done your solo record? I mean, you sort of had broken down, sort of, okay, we've been here before. Did that help at all?
I think so, for sure. Those were like, the baby steps that led us here to being back together. And as it's been stated in many interviews talking about us reuniting, that was never the intention. It was never this master plan. It really just happened very organically. But yeah, in answer to your question, I think having done John's solo album and the LTE album, we had already been through that process of reuniting and playing together and writing together. And so yeah, I think once we got together as a band, even though it was obviously the first time the five of us were together, I think that the ice had already been broken for a while, and it just felt really natural and comfortable right out of the gates.
Yeah. That's cool. And I imagine when you then start to come up with the concept and flesh out what the songs are going to be, is there a discussion beforehand? I mean, how does it go? How long does it get from that before you actually are like, we've written a song?
It's pretty quick. I mean, the first discussion was the album title and theme, and I had this idea of calling the album Parasomnia a while back, and kind of presenting it in such a way that it would be a themed album as far as lyrical tie-ins, much like 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence was as a song. This would be kind of a whole album based on sleep disturbances. As we were working on the album, Mike kind of came up with the idea of taking that step further and making it even more conceptual, like so that it wasn't just lyrically tied in, but also musically, thematically, like Dark Side of the Moon. He was even like, at the end, let's write an overture to start the album with. So that sort of broader conceptual thing was, as we were writing it and getting into discussions. But I mean, Night Terror, the first song we wrote, probably it came together like probably the first week, right? Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah. How does Night Terror start? Actually, I meant to ask you. So is that the riff at the beginning? How long does it get before you have a chorus? Or just put me in the room a little bit. How long does it take to sort of flesh out something like that?
I mean, for something that I did in preparation for this record is knowing the theme is I wanted to come in with some ideas and thoughts and riffs and progressions that were in a very, I don't know, sort of dreamy, weird tonality. So I kind of was working and studying on some different, not to get all nerdy, but different modes and chordal things and stuff like that. So I remember working on specifically that basic opening riff, wanting it to have that tonality that set the tone, and it's a weird nerdy mode called Super Phrygian. So for me, I was like basing riffs
Bring on
off
the
of
nerdiness. We love all that stuff.
Yeah. Just to try to get like a darker tonality, like a more darker, heavier, dreamlike tonality. And the way that we work is you start presenting something like that, and Mike kicks in, and everybody starts jamming, and it shapes up little by little.
It just sounded like the perfect song to come out of the gate with. It really did. And I know you hear this kind of stuff and it sounds like hyperbole, but the chorus was perfect. And then the key change at the end to do that extra thing was just like, there they go. They nailed it with that. Like that was like the dismount.
Right.
And it was like just perfect. I was waiting for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. So the Parasomnia concept, I mean, that feels like, with you guys, the type of music you do and the conceptual albums and the name Dream Theater, seems like something tailor-made that I mean, how had you been sitting on that for a while? Because it seems just like perfect.
Yeah, I was. As soon as I heard that term, I was like, oh my God, that's so Dream Theater. Like that has to be a title at some point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. And what I like about it is it's a darker theme, and so it kind of enabled us to go to that place where the music is heavier, darker. Even the artwork that Hugh Syme did is some of his best work, in my opinion, and it's just so creepy and scary and dark and ties into Dream Theater just so naturally.
Yeah, I highly recommend if the fans out there haven't already ordered it, get the art book. I was looking at the art book last night back in my room, and it's so amazing. It sets the tone.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how many 40, 50-page booklet or whatever that accompanies the album, and but the artwork that Hugh did, it's just so creepy and dark, and it just really sets the tone for the whole album. And the whole album is very cinematic. It's not just a collection of songs, and I think we knew how anticipated this album would be, and we wanted it to be a special album more than just a group of songs. We really wanted it to feel like an experience.
Yeah, I even like the "Are We Dreaming" part. I mean, I think that's such a cool transition into "Bend the Clock," and I'm not always the biggest interlude fan, but because I like to just get to the songs.
Right.
But that one just fits. It sort of relaxes you after Midnight Messiah. I think it's really cool. Leading into Midnight Messiah, one of my favorite tracks on the album. I think people love that song already. It just got released. Super heavy. That riff also sounds like. It's brand new, but it sounds like immediately recognizable somehow. I can't explain it. Talk about how that song came together a little bit.
That feeling that you're describing, we had it throughout the making of this record. It all just felt so familiar. And of course, a lot of the naysayers and the keyboard warrior trolls out there, they put it down to, oh, it's just not original. They're just ripping themselves off. But it's us. There's a sound and a style that these five people create. And we decided we're going to embrace that. We're not going to deny it. We're not going to fight it. Call it nostalgic if you want, whatever. But there was a familiarity and a sound to all of these songs. So we're writing Midnight Messiah, for instance, and it's like, man, this sounds like this could be on Train of Thought or whatever. And we embraced it. We were like, you know what? We're not going to deny that. Let's let these songs be what they want to be. And of course, you have to keep an ear out. If the riff is something that you've already used, you have to work on, tweak it, make it different. But there's a lot of moments in the album where it was like, oh wow, this sounds like it could be on Train of Thought, or this could be on Octavarium or Scenes from a Memory, and we let it be. But Midnight Messiah, I mean, even with the lyrics, I'm like referencing previous albums and previous lyrics and previous songs. So I think we embraced that. We wanted it to be natural.
We did. We actually, it came up, like we leaned into it because it was like Mike said, it sounds like it could be on this album or that album. And Mike would be like the riff police, like he calls something up on his phone. No, it's not. And we were like, you know what? This is like, there's a style that we have, and that I think that identity is really important for a band. It is important to stay fresh and continue to push the boundaries, but also, we developed a style over these 40 years that's, I think, very identifiable. And, I think we unapologetically just made a record that felt great to us, regardless of whether somebody else.
It's one of those silly debates. I mean, I just think about, I want people that complain or think like that to think about if you guys had come out after all this time with this record and it sounded like Invisible Touch. Like, imagine that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
That would have been a little bit insane.
Right, exactly.
No, and I love that album too, not meaning to disparage anything. But I mean, and I really think in your whole history, you really haven't made similar records, even going back from Images and Words to Awake.
Right.
People were expecting Images and Words Part 2, and the album was completely different. Right. So that's always been the case, and I welcome that. I have to talk about a couple more songs that I want to get into. I know we have limited time. Bend the Clock is just one of the best ballads the band has ever written.
Oh wow, thank
Um,
you.
I just think it's awesome. And that guitar solo, I have to ask about that guitar solo. How many takes was it? Were you writing that for a while? Was it just flowing through you? I mean, it's just so amazing. Like 3, 4 minutes long. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That song definitely stands out. Like I was mentioning before, with all this kind of darker themes and chordal things and stuff. This one was an idea that I had that was kind of more in the Journey vibe, and it was sort of like I don't know if it would fit or not, but I always sort of liked it, and so presented it, and it turned into that song. And it's a great example of how a song could be built from. Sorry, someone's flashing. From one idea and combined with other ones, like that whole end guitar solo is based on a jam that we had one day. And I think, I don't know if John came up with that riff or something, that kind of very Floydy thing. And it was one of those things like, okay, we'll use this for something, and that was the perfect point to use it. The guitar solo, that was one of the main solo in that song. The first one was the first one I did for the record. So that ending one was the second one I did for the record. So it was right at the start of tracking solos. And I improvised a lot and knew I had a long time to go. So I just wanted it to build. I was channeling David Gilmour as much as I can, one of my heroes. And then, Mike was talking about how like it has to have the longest fade that you hear every nugget as it's
So
going.
actually,
Turn it
I
up.
want to ask you about that. The fading versus not fading. How do you decide? Because some people like are against fade outs. I think in this case it works, right? So was there a thought to just doing a big ending thing to it, or always
No,
just fading?
I think it felt like it was going to be one of those long natural ending, slow fades. Yeah, Comfortably Numb is the perfect example, but
Yeah,
also
fades.
from
Yeah.
from Dream Theater's catalog, like The Best of Times, that this end solo at the end of that one, it just felt like that was the right move,
Yeah.
really. It just felt like it was one of those solos that you want to just not end. You want it to just go on forever.
The funny thing is,
Right.
as I was playing it, I had, towards the end, I thought I had some really cool ideas, and it was like, I don't want them to be faded too much. Like that part was cool. We tried to get it like right to the end.
Yeah, it does. It really kind of takes its time, which is awesome. And of course, the big long epic at the end, Shadow Man incident, which is just awesome. I mean, it goes a million different places and all sorts of parts. It's incredible. Um, when you're writing one of those long epics, you have a history of doing a bunch of them. How many stages of writing does something like that go through, or is it really just the same as any other song? Like you get the parts, or do you go back later and wedge in a few more things, or how does something like that happen?
Man, it's like a longer version of the short one.
It's just open ended, really. I mean, if you have a song like Midnight Messiah, you want it to be concise. You want the arrangement to be somewhat traditional. But then when you go into writing one of these epics, all rules are thrown out the window. You don't really have to follow a traditional form or arrangement. The clock, you take the clock off the wall, you let it be as long as it wants to be until we have said everything and gotten all the ideas out there. There's a definite freedom that comes with writing an epic like that. And like you said, it's a tradition that Dream Theater's always had. If you look at our catalog, almost every album has one of those. They usually close the album as well, but there's a definite freedom that comes with that style of writing.
Yeah, I agree, because you even if there's like you have an abundance of parts, you don't have to kind of cut anything. It's just like, all
Right.
right, we'll do that part later, or
Just leave it in. Yeah, it's all good.
that whole Latin solo thing. I mean, that just is completely different than anything else in the song. Normally, you might not have fit in a shorter song, but like, yeah, let's do it. And not only that, but it gets extended in kind of an LTE sort of way, where it's a long jam session. Reminds me of like the old Return to Forever and stuff like that. But there's a place for it in that song. It doesn't seem out of place. And what's also, I think, something that fans will have fun finding out on this record is there there are tons of themes that occur throughout the entire
Yeah.
thing. and where they occur and how. I think is those little Easter eggs and nuggets will be interesting. I did an interview the other day, and I don't want to give anything away, but the person didn't realize that "Are We Dreaming" was comprised of all these themes from other songs. They're like, oh, they had to go back and listen to it. So it'll be fun for people to say, oh, that's the chorus in this song is actually the verse in this song or whatever. And
well, there's a few of them that are right,
there's a lot.
The broken man theme, right? That's in one part, and then it's cool. No,
a lot, so.
I know that you guys take time to really think about doing that, and as a listener, that always just makes the album more interesting,
right?
And I think that's what you want. That's what you look forward to.
I guarantee a fan will make a spreadsheet of all the themes, where they are, and in what form they occur.
Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you each about a couple of separate things, and ask you about that. Mike, I want to ask you real quick, just because you've been on Drumeo so much, and it's awesome. Those videos are amazing. They're really funny, and especially the one you just did with Brandon, where you had him play, which is great. What's that experience like? I mean, is it you go there and you spend like a whole day and just knock out like 10 videos, or how does that process work over there?
Pretty much. I mean. They just released the video of me doing Instrumentally, I think last week or the week before. And that was the last video from my 2023 session. But that first session I did in 23, I was there for like 3 days and we got a year's worth of content out of it. I mean, we worked hard. And as you could tell from the video with Brandon learning Midnight Messiah, my new touring kit was there. So obviously I was just there again and spent another 3 days for content to be spread out throughout this year, as well as there's a couple of really cool surprises in the new sessions as well. But yeah, it's been an amazing platform. They have such a built-in audience. Every one of those videos go viral, millions and millions of hits. I think the video of me learning the Tool song, I think, is up to like 8 million views or something like that already.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a really cool outlet for sure, and a great relationship that I'm happy to have now.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is the quality. It's really high quality production, which is impressive. It makes you want to watch it, which is really cool. So yeah, those are great. John, also I want to talk about you got a Guitar Universe 5.0 coming up. You want to talk about that a little bit this summer?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, this will be the fifth one. Actually, the first one Mike is going to join me on, so nice. I'm looking forward to that. And you know what? It's such a fun event. This one's going to be held in Vegas in August. I know that sounds like torture. Las Vegas in August.
Just stay indoors. That's all.
Yeah, but we're going to be at the this Hilton Lake Las Vegas resort, which is I didn't even know this existed. It's not on the Strip, but about a half hour away. There's like Lake Las Vegas. It's this like incredible resort. We'll be indoors in nice air conditioning. And you can go outside and bake at the pool if you want. But we have a lot of incredible guest instructors as always. People can go to John Petrucci's GuitarUniverse.com and see everybody who's going to be guests. And it's just 4 days and nights of just an incredible experience. Cool. We have a lot of repeat attendees, but anybody who has not experienced that before, I highly recommend it. And it does sell out. But you make friends for life and learn so much. And it's just this great, experience of guitar and musician camaraderie. And I always try to make it fun. I always do a barbecue where I'm flipping burgers for everyone.
Nice.
And things like that. So I'm excited again to have Mike. He'll be in my trio with Dave LaRue. And we'll perform. And like I said, go to John Petrucci's universe.com and you can check out all the details there. Sign up.
Awesome. This was great. Guys, everybody, not that people watching this don't know already, but we're a few days away from Parasomnia, February 7th. Please go check it out, buy it, whatever, and check the band out on tour in the U.S. and I guess through the rest of the year. You guys are going to be busy. Thank you again for giving me some time, guys. We're so happy for the album, and I'll be seeing you guys at Radio City. I'm going to come up and see them.
Oh, great. Awesome.
So, all right.
All right. See ya.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all our socials and ProgReport.com, and we'll see you all again real soon. Thanks.